back to our handout, and so we just finished moving our global functions, so they are now becoming a member functions of the new shader class. And now we need to start using this shader class, so we need to add some code to test the new object and see how is it capable of doing everything. So let's switch back to the main file, lab2 main file, and I will scroll down to this place where we just finished initializing the OpenGL driver by calling glue init. Okay, so in this space where we used to do all the work with global functions, so now we're going to say shader, right, shader, and we can so this will be returning pointer to shader. So we'll say shader equals new. So we'll dynamically create the object new shader, and it will take two parameters. The constructor, this is our constructor, so it takes vertex file name and fragment file name. So I'll just use the split over here and scroll all the way to the top. And so these are the names of our shaders. Vertex shader, okay, so this will be the first parameter right here, comma, fragment shader. That's the second parameter that we'd like to specify. So now we have the shader. And of course, this used to be our local variable. Now this is part of our shader class. This is now, I'll move it again back to the previous group. And here, this is our program ID, which is populated by our constructor. So what needs to happen now that this is our object, and we're going to use pointer to member to use GL program. Okay, so this will be our changes. So now all this code that used to be here in place of this call to create new shader object now is gone and replaced by the pointer to this brand new object, which we can now use by specifying a compiled shader program ID like this. And of course here we should be able to now compile, run it, and see if it's going to print our debug tracing messages, and if everything continues to work exactly the same way as it was before we started making our changes. Okay, so save everything, build, let's build and see if everything looks fine. Oh, of course, what happens is that I think I missed that step in our laboratory. I'll just go to the top, and what we need to do is just like we had this in shader.cpp, we need to include shader.h in our main file. So I'll just copy and paste this. And typically I place my header files under system header files, just like this. Okay, so this is what we need to have in our main file, lab2.cpp. Okay, again, save and build. Oh, there's some other some diagnostic messages still remain here. I'll just comment this out for now. We can remove all of this or just comment out. We really don't need this right now. Right, so now it compiles fine. So all we do is just saying to our OpenGL driver that would like to use this program. Now I just go debug, start without debugging, and again the graphics, we don't really render any graphics, but those messages are correct, and it tells me that it's linking shader ID 1 with 2, and then the shader program ID comes out as 3. So these messages are printed in our constructor. So these are tracing messages that come out of our constructor. So this tells us that everything is okay. So we're done with the first part of our laboratory.